Welcome to the first ever emergency podcast of the NFL Cymru podcast. It is Monday evening. We hopped on last night and we talked a little bit about possible trade candidates, and then the last thing that we were talking about towards the latter stages of the podcast. Those of you who haven't had a chance to listen yet, we set ourselves a challenge. Really, we were kind of wondering when was Louis Rees-Zammit going to tell us all, going to reveal which team he had been talking to or which contracts were out on the table. And myself and Guto came up with a few options last night. Turns out we were completely wrong. The news broke around, well, we're actually recording it around 10 o'clock here in Wales. The news broke around an hour and a half ago, revealing that Louis Rees-Zammit indeed has re-signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. However, Guto, noswaith dda, welcome to the first ever emergency pod. This is very, very excited. You've got a few sources in front of you. What did they actually say?
Yeah, so the news has been broken. Not with that, by the way, David. The news has been broken. It is officially official. Louis Rees-Zammit has re-signed as a wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm reading from BBC Sports. The news was broken by the Jacksonville Jaguars Twitter page, and they read, the Jacksonville Jaguars have signed quarterback John Wolford and wide receiver Louis Rees-Zammit to the active roster, the team announced today. So it's officially official. We've been speculating for a number of weeks. He gave us a little tease during the Super Bowl that there was offers on the table, but we know where Louis Rees-Zammit is going to end up, at least for now, for the 2025 season.
Yeah. Well, we came up with a list of possible teams that he could be a good fit or a good match with. And I guess we didn't really think that he was going to re-sign with the Jags as well. But do you know what? I've been having a lot of messages over the last hour since the news has broke from in NFL insiders, from rugby players, from people who are interested, because I immediately put it on my Instagram. So did you. We were really, really quick because, that rush of blood to the head, and we were very excited. And people are asking me, what does this mean? And more specifically, what does active roster mean? So, although this is very, very exciting, I think we have to put things into perspective and maybe pump the brakes here a little bit. Although this is definitely a step up from where he was last year with the Jags, where he was on the practice squad. So at this point, I guess the intent from the team itself, the Jags' intent, will be for Louis Rees-Zammit to possibly compete to be a member of the active roster. Now, the active roster at the moment, we're in the off season. We haven't even ventured into free agency or the draft. And then training camp and preseason. Let's just say the active roster is going to look very, very different today, as it probably will in the summer. So, like I said, Guto, I think we have to be realistic here. Like you said, it's very, very positive. Clearly the Jaguars are very, very interested, and it'll be quite intriguing. Maybe we'll never know if he had other options from different teams as well.
Yes, it is a positive news for us Welsh. Is a positive news for Louis Rees-Zammit. Um, but we do have to pump the brakes a little bit, as you said. He will be competing with 90 other players to make the 53-man squad. So there's a lot of time between now and September. Well, August, September, depending when the season actually starts. He's got a lot of work to do. He'll be competing with wide receivers who are in the team at the moment. You're looking at obviously the main boys at the Jaguars: Brian Thomas Jr., Parker Washington, Josh Reynolds. But they've got Devin Duvernay as well. He's in there. And they're in the top 10 in the draft, so it is interesting to see what they'll do. So it's going to be a lot of work. He's done it once. He did it with the Chiefs. He's been in the practice squad. He's been praised by his athleticism and his work ethic. So It is going to be an interesting summer for him. But like you said, it's a step in the right direction for Louis Rees-Zammit. Um, he probably knew he had a contract, so all the best to him. It's positive news and it's good for us as well because
Yeah.
this is why we're doing the podcast in the end to talk about Louis Rees-Zammit, talk about trying to grow the sport in Wales. He's definitely doing that as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite interesting, um, because there's been a lot of chop and change with the Jags recently. They,
Yeah,
as we've already mentioned before, they fired their head coach Doug Peterson,
yeah,
and after trying to find a new head coach, they eventually fired their GM Trent Baalke as well,
yeah,
which was kind of strange because I think we mentioned in a pod before everything that went down with Liam Cohen coming from the Buccaneers, Robert Saleh potentially almost being given a contract, and then Liam Cohen backing out of a head coaching job, or going back to Tampa, and being one of the top paid OCs in the league, and then taking the Jags job. So this decision must have come from the owner potentially, which is Shad Khan.
yeah.
He's a billionaire. I'm not sure if you saw there was a video during the Super Bowl. He parked his something like $25 million yacht in the marina in New Orleans. So clearly this is a good, like you said, this is very positive. And if this decision is coming right from the top, right from the owner, because they currently don't have a GM,
No.
they're still interviewing for a GM, and clearly the new head coach Liam Cohen must be on board as well. So, like I said, he's been on the practice squad last year. Clearly, he's shown the Jags a little bit of potential. They
Yeah.
clearly see some potential in him. He's been busy trying to learn the playbook. That might have to be ripped up, and maybe he's going to have to start again. Maybe they'll keep kind of same concept as before, but definitely a new head coach is going to bring his own scheme. But like we said, this is fantastic. This is very, very positive for us. It's another thing for us to talk about, and it's going to keep the momentum now. Everything is going to be very, very fresh going into free agency, and I'm sure, like you said, it's quite interesting. Maybe again, we'll never know, but did he have that offer from the Jags on the back burner so he could potentially throw a rod out to the sea to see whoever would catch on to the bait? It would be really, really interesting to see if anyone else was involved, with that.
Yeah, and just going back to the head coach situation, obviously they sacked Doug Peterson, and Doug Peterson, he was a big fan of Rees-Zammit. He made that very clear and very public. So when he got fired, my confidence of him staying with the Jaguars did drop a little bit. I did not expect him to actually. That's why. That's one of the main reasons why I speculated a number of different teams. To be honest with you, I didn't think Liam Cohen would, or the owner would have any interest in him. But obviously, Shadiq Khan, he might have seen him play. He might have seen him in training, so he must have seen something in him. And like I say, he's a billionaire. He can park his yacht anywhere. So, but yeah, with Liam Cohen coming in, I'd like to believe he had a decision in bringing him in as well. They're in a rebuilding phase. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they'll be hoping to bring in anyone that they can, use all the different skill sets to build their team to be a top team. They were in the playoffs, I believe, 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're definitely being a rebuild and being in the top 10 in the draft, they'll be shopping in every position. So the more wide receivers they get, the more difficult it will be for Rees-Zammit to make the 53. He'll be like I said, he'll be competing with 90 other players, but it's a step in the right direction for
Mm.
Rees-Zammit and for NFL in Wales.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see the ins and outs of the contract as well,
Yeah,
because we don't know if it's if it's a 1 year contract, if it's a 2 year, if there's guaranteed money involved, is there a signing bonus? We don't really know.
No.
So probably we'll have to wait a couple of days until that is released as well. So I think the contract will say a lot about the team's belief in the individual. So, like I said, we'll keep our eyes out for that one, and we'll bring the information to you whenever we do have it.
Yes.
Like I said, well, Jacksonville proper, they underperformed, they underachieved massively last year. They had a really, really down season after, like you said, they making the playoffs, and they got through to the divisional round. They played an absolutely bonkers game against the Chargers. Do you remember? The Chargers were up by around
Correct.
25 or 28 points at one point, and then it was a miraculous comeback in the third and the fourth quarter that got them to the divisional round a couple of years ago. And then, like I said, didn't help. They lost their quarterback for the majority of the season, Trevor Lawrence as well.
Yeah.
They dealt with a lot of injuries. And then the wheels kind of fell off for Doug Peterson, and the writing was at the wall. Writing was on the wall by the end. But like you said, a new coaching change, a new era has begun in Jacksonville, and we'll be waiting eagerly to see. Obviously, the problem is now we're going to have to wait 4 or 5 months until we see him in action before training camp starts. And obviously, we'll keep an eye. That's another thing, as well as watching what the Dolphins and the Falcons will be doing during the draft and free agency. Now, I guess this is something else that we'll be able to watch out. What are the Jags going to do? Are
Yeah.
they going to trade for a wide receiver? Like you said, they used their first pick. I think the first round was Brian Thomas Jr. I'm pretty sure they got him as a first rounder last year.
Yes.
So what are the chances? I think the chances are pretty low that they're going to target another wide receiver in maybe the first couple of rounds, but you never know. Some people, it depends. Some teams go for best player available, or they have a player in mind that they like to target. But they've got. I think that, like you said, you mentioned a few names. I think they've still got Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk was injured for a large part. Gabe Davis is another one, but you never know. Like, some of these might have signed 1 year deals. I think Christian Kirk might be a free agent as well. And you never know. Zammit might go in as a returner as well. I know he's down as a wide receiver, but we've seen his skills as a returner for the Chiefs. So I hope that we'll see him have an opportunity as a wide receiver and a returner as well. Because if he's exposed to the new league rules of the kickoff, I think he can have a lot of success.
Yeah. I'm glad he's down as a wide receiver, and I believe wide receiver slash returner is his two best positions. We've seen a little bit of him playing running back for the Chiefs, and it just didn't work out for him. It just wasn't for him. So definitely a wide receiver is the best position for him, and I'm glad that they've acknowledged that as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting few months. Like I said, with the contract situation, there's nothing official regarding the length, how much, etc. So that's something we'll definitely be looking at. I'll be looking. I've been looking on my Twitter every day, hoping for some news, and my phone's just blown up in the last 2 hours. So, but yeah, it's exciting. I'm pleased for him.
Yeah.
And I hope he makes the 53. If not, it'll be if it's a practice squad, then so be it. He's still in the NFL roster at the end of the day. So, but great news to end the day.
Definitely. And like you said, even if he's on the practice squad, that means at any given moment he can be called up to the active roster, and that's him one step closer to being in a regular season game, which would be absolutely incredible. That's what we're all waiting for and hoping for as well. So, Lewis, if you're listening, llongyfarchiadau, da iawn ti, keep going. This, like we said, this is a step in the right direction, and we will definitely be tracking your progress throughout the off season, going into the draft and training camp and so on. Guto, thank you very much for your time. Just before we leave, we were talking today about maybe if any of you NFL, non-NFL fans out there are maybe curious about the sport or about our pod or anything about there. And we were just wondering, please, if you have any specific questions, please send them in. You can either send them to our Instagram pages or, like we said, Guto, you're on X as well. Is it NFL Cymru Pod
That's correct.
on
Yeah.
X? And like we said, we're on Instagram, NFL Cymru. You'll definitely find us. And we're going to try and come up with some fun things to keep us occupied over the long off-season months that we have in front of us. So like I said, if you've got an idea, if you've got a question, even if you want us to give you or to pick a team for you, that would be quite a good concept, don't you think?
Yeah, anything to keep us going through the free agency draft. Give more people information about NFL so we can help grow the NFL in Wales. There's a massive international fan base for the NFL. We want to put Wales on the map. There's obviously the NFL UK page, they're doing really well, but we want to put Wales on the map. Louis Rees-Zammit is already doing that. So this is something that we are very passionate about as well. Any ideas you guys want us to talk about? If you guys want to get involved, let us know. Like I said, I'm on X, NFL Cymru Pod. We've got NFL Cymru on Instagram. Just get in touch, and it'd be cool to have some more ideas, just so we can grow this podcast. Really, so yeah, bring anything you've got.
Definitely, just to see, that red dragon on the back of his helmet, that's pretty cool. just to start off, isn't it? So yeah, hopefully, and I feel it in my bones that this is just the beginning, and hopefully in a couple of, well, who knows, in a couple of months we might be able to prove something very, very special. So we'll keep you posted. Thank you very much for joining us. The first ever emergency NFL Cymru pod. We will be back sometime this week with some more information about the NFL, and even, like we said, if we get some more information about Zammit's contract, we'll get on it and we'll bring that to you very, very shortly. But for now, diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much for your time, Guto, and we'll see you very, very soon. Nos da, diolch.
Diolch yn fawr.